59J. Neck on 9. Let's go. Yeah.
I'm sideways in a bucket ducking 5-0. Homie, are you down the ride? Rims spinning, windows tinted and my eyes low.
Hey, yo, what's good with everybody, man? I hope everybody's having a productive day, feeling blessed, and like I always say, is one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. Somebody shot this to me that's created a TikTok page called Central Valley Foods, and they were the one like, hey, man, do a reaction to some of my videos, some of my content. So I went to go check them out. I support anybody. I try to do it on a positive note, and I seen it, and I knew exactly what he was talking about because the homie from Visalia shot it to me. He's like, man, look what happened with the homie. So I wanted to do this video on it, and it took me a little bit to think about it because I'm not just going to sit here and condone gang violence, but I understand what's taking place and what's going to take place. And so what happened was, we all know about Pixley Surenos. We all know about the 16 Letter Boys. We all know about Demon, Spooky Myers. A lot of these guys that are coming up as Sureno faction rappers from the Central Valley, collaborating together, making music, obviously is going to piss off a lot of people, instigate a lot of situations because, you know, when I first got out, I was introduced to a lot of Norteno rappers, you know, out of Visalia, beat with some from Visalia, some from Tulare. You know, I just didn't see it like that. Like, I always knew Southern rappers were a big thing. I didn't see it coming. I didn't notice it. Didn't pay attention to it until it was all brought to my attention that, you know, there's a lot of Southern rappers, even from the Central Valley and Northern California, that I don't want to say they weren't afraid no more, but they ain't holding back no more. They're out there publicly. You know, I first heard about Big Thumper coming out from the Bay Area, 707 or wherever he's from, and then you have a Grave Digger. Then you have like Bay Recon. You have a lot of Southern rappers that they're not sitting on the sidelines no more. They're publishing their music and then putting themselves out there. So I know about Pixley Surenos because, like I told you guys a long time ago, in Tulare, Pixley Surenos went to school at Tulare Union High School. So that's where we got into the brawls. That's when I told the story on YouTube where I shot at the school bus and the Southerners were in there. Those were the biggest people that we beefed with in Tulare. And then out of nowhere, Wicked was just like, bro, man, we ain't kicking in. We ain't hiding in no backyard. We ain't doing nothing. We coming out here and we beefing with all these Northerners. So we had to deal with Wicked Surenos. And then they had an internal war where they were beefing with their own, like, Surenos at war. And there was another gang that they had that they were beefing with. I want to say it was True Blue Surenos. They started beefing with each other. So the Surenos in Tulare were beefing with each other. Then we were beefing with them. And then we were beefing with Pixley. Pixley most of the time beef with Tipton Nortenos. That's the only time, like, when we would get locked up, we would see Pixley and Tipton always going at it, going to war with each other. Like, Early Mart would go to war with Early Mart and Delano. You know, Porterville go to war with Lindsay. You know, Linnell Camp went to war with Porterville. You never seen us all, like, going to different cities, but trip out on this article. We have Pixley Surenos and gunned down a Norteno. Now, when they told me that, I couldn't see whether or not they killed the Norteno or they just shot him a couple of times. Either way, they drove from one city to another city. That's how bold and arrogant the Surenos have become in Tulare County, which they've been before, but now it's just more rapid, more frequent, more publicized, even with their music now, and shot at some Nortenos. Hit one. So this dude right here, he's a rapper. I want to say he's from Visalia because everybody's identifying him as a homeboy from Visalia, but I don't know this person. He goes by the name of Hoodlum. Makes music, black homie. The person that they shot happened to be one of his homies. And I noticed that everybody on social media, as they're making posts about it, they're bragging about it. They're like, man, this fool retaliated less than 6 hours. Well, he's 23 years old and he gunned down two 14-year-olds in a car, shot them both. Now, you can look at the aspect like 14 years old or not. They were banging. They were from Pixley. He drove all the way to Pixley by himself. And gunned down two people. Now, I don't know if those youngsters died. I think one's critical, one's non-critical. But he shot two 14-year-olds in the car. Got arrested for it. Yes, I would have told the article regardless because I have to elaborate on the gang violence that's taking place within my area. But before I could do, you know, I was busy, messing up, not paying attention, being focused, and, you know, worried about work. I had it on the back of my list, like, yeah, I'm going to talk about this. And then I started seeing posts more frequently about it. And then I seen that they were like, hey, fool, he retaliated in less than 6 hours. Like, they really emphasize on the whole less than 6 hours. Now, mind you, I was a part of this lifestyle. I understand retaliation is a must. You know what's crazy? I'm getting a lot of criticism from my last song, Deemed. But it's just the way I worded it. I'm telling the story, but everybody's just taking those certain words. Like, what do you know about loyalty, bro? You're a snitch. Bro, you're a dropout. Hey, bro, what do you know about retaliation, bro? You don't do nothing. I'm like, man, I'm telling the story, bro. I'm telling the story. So anyways, I do know the concept of retaliation is a must. I've been in those predicaments where I had to retaliate. But I've also been in predicaments where, you know, smoking a blunt and going to his funeral sometimes is more important than anything. So we forget that in this lifestyle. We automatically hear, hey, the homie gunned down. Nah, let's not help with the funeral. Let's not help his mom. Let's not be there for his mom. You know, sometimes that gang violence can wait. Don't trip. Your time will come. You know, that's how you're supposed to think. Your time will come. I'll retaliate. It don't got to be right now. It ain't got to be 2 days from now. It could be 3 weeks from now when you have no idea that nothing's coming. You know, everybody jumps to the conclusion like they take one of ours, we're taking a couple of theirs. And then put yourself in a predicament where you either have to be on the run so you can help. You're going to probably get caught and go to county jail, so there's nothing you can do about your homie's dead. Because in reality, so we're all putting ourselves in a vulnerable position to get gunned down. Every time you wear, you know, a red hat or a blue hat, or you dress like this, you wear a specific hat with a specific logo that identifies your neighborhood. You've been known on social media to throw up your hood. And no matter what you do, you're placing yourself in a vulnerable position. Maybe not within that moment because you're in a comfortable spot, you're in a secure place. But people remember that. People think about that. People will put it in the back of their minds like, man, when I catch that fool slipping, it's over. Trust me. And you don't know when it's going to happen to you. So there's nothing to be mad about when you see Surenos go to Norteno neighborhoods and gun them down. It's going to happen. Because as Norteños, you were doing the same thing in a lot of eras that when Sureños weren't really out there like that. Yeah, they were grouping up. They were gaining numbers. They were selling their dope. They were having sex with their hyenas. And every once in a while, they'll jump one of the homies or dump at one of the homies. But Norteños for a long time, when you would hear about it in my era, my generation, man, Sureños live over there, fool? Southsiders live over there? We're going to go tear it up, man. Burn their house, break their fence, break their windows, shatter their car, shoot it up every day, light it on fire. You know, at some point, you guys have to understand that at some point, we're going to come back out and start saying, you know what, we're done with this, bro. Ain't no more hiding. We're coming out, we're sliding back. We're coming out, we're shooting them up too. So, being a gang member, you know, obviously, one Norteño or any Norteño was going to get caught slipping eventually because of the color that he wears, the way he disrespects them, the music that he puts out. It's going to happen. So that retaliation and must is always going to be around because there's going to be a handful of Norteños that are going to be like, nah, bro, the homie didn't die for nothing. Which I made a video about that. And then you're going to have individuals like that ain't going to waste no time and go retaliate and shoot 14-year-old kids. Now, it's not stating in the article that these 14-year-old kids were the reasoning or probable cause or identified as the suspects that gunned down that Norteño. I didn't read that nowhere. I tried to look it up, didn't read it. So he picked just 2 random kids that he knew would be affiliated with the gang, the Sureño faction, and said, I'm getting get-backs from my homie. Now, like I said, I don't know if his homie died, and I don't know, I can't recall if they died. But the back and forth that's going to happen even after that. See, one gang escalated a gang situation that already existed and said, you know what, we're going to gun down on Norteño. And push somebody like him that believes in the cause, believes in being a Norteño, believes in backing up his homies and retaliating for his homies, went back and did that. Now that 14-year-olds, those 2 14-year-olds, there's going to be somebody that loves them and cherishes them as brothers, as kids, as homies. That's going to go back and forth. So it's going to continue to go back and forth. So we're going to continue to see bloodshed. And obviously, I'm going to have content available to tell you guys about. But when you really sit here and think about it, you know, everybody's quick to jump in the car and go bust back. Like busting back and shooting somebody solves the problem. And I know everybody's going to say the same thing. Wow, bro, they did it. We're going to do it back, bro. That's just the way the gang life works. Yeah, it's just the way it works. That's always going to be the gang life. But shooting one of their homies ain't going to stop nothing from happening. Because you're going to shoot one of his homies and they're going to feel the same thing. Well, that we gunned one of them down. They shot 2 of our little homies. Now let's go shoot 3 of them. So there's probably 3 or 4 Norteños right now in Visalia walking around like, man, they ain't going to come over here, bro. Because Norteños have arrogance like that. They ain't gonna come to Visalia. Even after this situation, they're gonna still be out there and be like, I ain't sliding over here like that, bro. They ain't about that life like that. And there's gonna be 3 or 4 Norteños that are just gonna be going to the store with their kids, with their families, mobbing around, and not gonna anticipate it. And there's gonna be a group of Surenos in a van gunning them down to send another message. And the message is always gonna be, you know, we out here, we gangbanging, F you, F this, F that. Words and phrases that are so meaningless but are so dangerous and detrimental to how everybody's living nowadays. I remember when it was just like I said, Tulare would beef with Tulare Sureños, Visalia would beef with Visalia Sureños, and you know, it was with inner cities. But now you got Sureños driving 2 or 3 cities over just to gun you down. And now you got to drive 2 or 3 cities over to retaliate. Now you got to go into their territory. Could be vulnerable to an ambush, element of surprise. You know, everybody used to talk about Ivanhoe. Ivanhoe is an area where, like, bro, they always said don't post at this gas station. Like, even though it looks like abandoned and all that, if you go get some gas right there, all the Sureños in Ivanhoe know that you're there. And they ambush you. And I talked to hella Norteños locked up that, like, bro, I went to Ivanhoe and got the blues. They lit my lowrider up. They lit me up in the car with my family. And then I went out there one day for my own personal experience. Not to specifically do that. And I seen these dudes come out in buttloads. And, like, we were like, and I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. We hit the brakes and when we hit the gas and was gone, we're like, man, they came out here deep, bro. This is their city. That is their city. The moral of the story is this. You know, I thought about it when I did this video, and I was like, you know, every time that we had to retaliate for somebody, it was because that's what we were taught to do. You know, the negative aspect about it. Oh, they gunned one of ours, let's go gun one of theirs. I can't recall a time that any of my homies that died by the hands of Southerners or gang violence, well, we stopped for a minute and we're like, hey, bro, let's be with the homie's mom or his homie's family or his baby mom and his kids at the hospital. They're gonna need support, because the people that are dying behind this gang violence, the families that are there at the hospital that have to see the body, identify the body, finally pull the plug or watch as their kid didn't survive surgery, they're not tripping on what's going on the streets. They're not worried about that you're out there retaliating. Bro, you're not doing nothing for them by retaliating that's going to heal their pain or help them through the process. None of these gang members think like that, because none of the gang members are thinking like, man, what do we put in our families through? What do we put in our kids through? What do we put in the mother of our kids that actually sometimes depend on us to help raise these kids? We're just too busy putting on, you know, red hats, blue hats, gang attire. And we're going out there just to try to impress the world that we're thugs, that we're gang members, that we run the streets, that we're hood, that we're hard to the core, gangster to the core. We look hard in this post. We look hard on this, you know, cipher. But the repercussions and the aftermath and the collateral damage that people suffer from outside the gang culture, nobody stops to think about that. Because I can't remember a time where we all came together and was like, let's pay for the homie's funeral. No, we go to the funeral, we pay our respects, we cry like everybody else. But did anybody really go help the mom pay for the funeral services? A $5,000-$6,000 casket that she had to bury her own son in because we couldn't protect him as a neighborhood? Because in reality, what's the point of a neighborhood and a brotherhood when it's so easy nowadays to drive to a different neighborhood and get gunned down? It's so easy. That was the whole point of the neighborhood concept, right? We're all homies from the same hood. This is our body. Let's keep it clean. Let's do this. Let's make sure the homies are going to school. Let's make sure there's no tweakers and dope fiends dropping dope on the ground or needles so these kids don't pick it up. Nobody's doing nothing like that for their neighborhood. They're just trying to bleed it for its money, bleed it for its control, abuse it for its power and influence over the young minds that are going to sit here and think that it's okay to pull triggers on anybody for any reason anymore. Now no neighborhood's protected. Nobody's even protecting their neighborhood. Everybody just representing it, throwing it on social media. Social media got everybody so distracted that it's very easy for a southern gang to come from Pixley 3 cities over to drive to Visalia and gun one of them down just to send a message that they're out there. And this dude felt it was in his best interest to go jeopardize all his freedom and retaliate for his homie, which I know a lot of people are going to praise. You know, I really can't put it down like that. I can't really degrade it like that, because I know why he did it for. I would have done it too plenty of times. I've done it plenty of times. But at some point, you know, I don't have to think like a gang member no more. So sometimes I sit here and look at it like, man, there's a different angle we could be looking at it as. You know, I've never seen homeboys just put out the gun just for a little bit, put down the rag just for a little bit, and be like, all right, man, we lost a homie, bro. As his neighborhood, as his homies, it's bad enough we're making his mom bury him, her son, because we couldn't do nothing to protect him, defend him, prevent him from losing his life from, you know, gang violence. But let's make sure to take care of this first, and then go do what we got to do to send a clear message. See, a lot of people forget that whether we're burying our homies behind our own politics or burying our homies because we continue to represent this color red or this color blue or this number or this video and these letters, we're all going to put ourselves in a position that one day somebody's going to bury us. Now, do you really want your homies to be out there killing 10 people as if it really makes a difference? Because it's never going to make a difference. It might die down for a little bit, then it's going to be another war going on. It's not going to die. But I would rather have my family be well taken care of than to see you go gun down some people, because I know it's not going to matter. They're going to end up in jail regardless. Their homies are going to do it, end up in jail regardless. As your homie, do I want to see you end up in jail for me? No. I want you to help raise my kids, bro. Make sure my kids don't get buried with me. Make sure my mom don't have to pay for this funeral service. You know, if you could think like that and learn to think like that, you know, there might be a lot of differences that could be made. But in this video, all you're going to hear and all you're going to see is everybody here really glorifying that he retaliated on his ops in less than 6 hours. I do get it. I understand it. I know a lot of people in the comment section are going to understand it. He did what he did for his homeboy. But there's a broader aspect that we could really look into if people would just stop thinking so one-sided or just closed-minded and think that after 50 years, retaliation is a must. But retaliation has never solved no problems. It's just a continuance of the problem. It's a perpetuating element that's going to continue the cycle of violence every day. Nobody's ever going to stop. Neither side's going to stop and say, man, we all went too far. No. They wanted to escalate. They wanted to continue. So there's going to be a lot more people and a lot more stories that we're going to have to tell, because retaliation is a must. That's what everybody believes in. And that's what this guy believed in. So with that being said, like I always say, is one life, one chance. We only got one chance to do this right. Let's get it done. Peace.